Seventh web chat. I apologize for the slight logistical issues here, but I think we got a workable setup here. Welcome, Jeff and Pierre Philippe and Tai Chan. Oh, great. Good to see you. Off the top, most of this meeting is going to be devoted to status. So let me hold off on, let's hold off on questions about that. But in the meantime, oh, hi, Brett. Welcome in. If anybody has any other questions other than status, please let me know. Okay, well, I'm going to dive right into it. Today, we started making parts for the pre-production batch. We're making 4 machines, a 12-inch, an 18-inch, and 2 24-inch machines. Okay, one of those machines is going to go to the West Coast to be a demo machine there. Pierre Philippe, I want to make sure that I'm really clear. These are not production machines, these are pre-production machines. Okay, this is the batch that's going to validate our production methodology. The machines themselves, at least one of them is going to stay here, and one of them is going to go to the West Coast, and then the other 2 machines, we're not sure exactly how they're going to get allocated yet. One of the questions that was raised last call, I think Brett, it was you, Brett just went away. I think it was Brett that asked the question or made the suggestion, and some of them are actually, remarkably enough, are already here. They're going to be trickling in over the next 2 or 3 weeks as the pre-production batch goes forward. As we've been trying to say all along, it's going to take us about a month to get the pre-production batch done. So we're hoping that at the end of that period, the manufacturing process will have been proven to where we can turn on production and start cranking them out. I wanted to show a couple of things around today, and so let me just start with that. You're okay. So logistically, I have a little bit of a problem. I have a microphone on my desk that works, but I don't have a camera on my desk that works. So I'm using my tablet, which has a camera that works, but not a microphone that works. This is a little weird, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things and then come back to my desk and describe what they are. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to show is the, you know what, I'm just going to give you an intro to what we're going to show. The first thing we're going to show is the router table. It's probably about 75% complete, and we hope to be making parts on it in the next week. Our milling machine is up and running. In fact, just before the call, I was working on the very first part of the very first production, pre-production run. And in the process of doing so, I found some bugs in my CAM code for that part. So I'm going to make some changes and then continue with the manufacturing of that part. It should be in good shape today, hopefully. And the other thing I'm going to show is some of the materials that have already shown came in, and just to answer that question, I think, Brett, you had. So the router table is first, then some of the materials, then the big mill. So I'll try to show as much as I can, and then we'll go from there. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow the process that we will be able to move the machine around and instead of finishing it up. And we have a working monster, Imola, rather, with running the kitchen. Okay? Some of the materials that come in, see, we're cutting aluminum bars into pieces. The first all screws are here. That's the 24-inch machine, including the bearings and the rotors. So that's good. The little bit of it is put together. It's got to move. It's going to get some work on it just to get it all set up and perfect it sometime. Probably get it. Finally, our 2-minute shop. Looking time. You can see part 28. See, we've been building the Lord. Apologize for the feedback. I'm not sure where that came from. But so that's where we are. Hi Jonathan. I just saw that you joined us. Does anybody have any questions? That was my daughter that you saw over my shoulder. She's hiding back there, and so is my son. I'm going to plug in the tablet so that you guys can see me and I don't run out of juice. Okay. How is production going? When will shipments be going out on production units? So just to recap, the batch that has started today is the pre-production batch. It's going to be 4 machines, 12, 18, and 24 inch. And we are hoping that it will take a month, at the end of which we will start shipping production units. Let me rephrase that. At the end of which we will start manufacturing production units. A batch should take somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks. We don't know yet specifically because we've never run a batch. So at that point, the second batch will start as soon as we got the pre-production machines up and running. And a week or 2 later, we'll start shipping them out. So I think at this point, we're about 4 to 6 weeks away. If our manufacturing process proves to be correct. The batches at this point, we haven't decided yet. In fact, the manufacturing, one of the reasons why we're running pre-production, I'm sorry, just for those who are just listening and not watching the chat, Jonathan asked the question of how many will be in a batch. And the answer is, at this point, we're not sure. It's going to be at least 6, possibly 12. And running the pre-production batch is one of the reasons, is one of the ways we're going to figure out whether it's going to be 6, 12, or 18. My gut feel says that it's 12. It could be as few as 6. So how many total printers are in production run? Like 46, 48, something like that. So the question was how many total printers are in production run. So it's not like we're going to have a production run and stop. We're just basically going to, as soon as production begins, we're just going to continuously make printers. You guys, that's Jeff, right? Jeff is asking what number you are. You guys are about halfway through the pre-orders. So I want to say you're in the high 20s, low 30s is my guess. As soon as we're done with the pre-production batch, I want to send out an email to folks with, while the production batch is running, we're going to try to send out an email to everybody with production numbers where you guys are. I think it was, I don't recall off the top of my head. I have to go look. Jonathan has a question of, I believe we were 47th the last time we spoke. Honestly, I don't remember. I haven't looked at the production list in a while, so I don't. Very shortly, we're going to send out an email that gives everybody their sequence number, and then at that point, you'll know approximately where we are, when we're going to be able to start shipping your unit. Jeff, I think you don't even have to type them, you can just say it. Is it expected the current production run will be fulfilled by the end of the year? Yes. I really want to be done by Thanksgiving. What's been the biggest delay? We got hit by a bunch of things. Earlier on, we got hit by the fact that we were expecting to be able to finance all of the equipment via leasing. That unfortunately did not materialize, and it took basically all of the slack that I built into the schedule got sunk on that. The next big challenge for us was the getting the real estate lawyers and the contract resolved. That took 3 months, 3 months. After that, we had the fun with Haas that promised us machines in like 4 to 6 weeks, and we got them in like 10. And the latest fun has been with our township. We've been working with the various folks between our architect, which was something that we never budgeted for, between the architect, the electrician, the township, and the landlord. We've been going around in circles for weeks now. We think we're close to a solution, but we've basically decided to go forward and start the batch before we get all the paperwork crossed and T's I'd and dots crossed and just do it. So a lot of things have been issues, essentially none of them having anything to do with the printer itself or even with our manufacturing process. That's really the biggest thing that's left. I mean, I sincerely hope that, tomorrow the building inspector doesn't come in and says, you can't do that. That's really my biggest fear at the moment. It looks like the machine is working really well. The main mill is working really great. The little mill, we've had enough experience with those that's not an issue. The lathe I showed you guys the last time, I can show it to you again. We got that thing up and running. It's not actually manufacturing anything, it's just sitting there at the moment because we only have one power plug here that can support that kind of amperage. So we're using that for the big mill. The router table, I think that's going to be okay. It's taking a little bit longer than we had hoped. We were hoping to have it about a month ago. But at the moment, it's looking really pretty good. I'm really pretty pleased with how it's turning out. It's pretty sturdy and rigid, so we shouldn't have any problem doing with it what we wanted to do. So the manufacturing side of it, so far, knock on wood, is looking okay.
Do you have a working 24-inch printer right now?
Not yet. That's going to be, we've been waiting for the pre-production batch, and that's why there's going to be 2 of them in the pre-production batch. 2 24s, an 18 and a 12.
What about the 4 extruders in the software? Is that, all the glitches been worked out on that?
Not yet. Still working on that. Luckily, I'm not, luckily I'm not the one working on it. There's somebody else that's working on that, because otherwise I'd go crazy. But we're not quite there yet.
So you're telling me within 4 to 6 weeks you'll have the bugs worked out?
I'm hoping to see that sooner. Pierre Philippe asked the question, we should see the big ABS prints shortly. Part of that is working out the heater controller software as well. That's taken a little bit longer than we had expected, as software often does, but we'll keep working on it and we'll get that done. Tai Chan had a question of, are there any hardware updates since our last hangout? You mean on the printer itself? There's been a couple of minor tweaks, like it used to be that on the X and the Y axis on the NEMA 23 motors on a current printer, the way that you tension the belt is by moving the motor. We've done a bunch of designs back and forth, and we've come to the solution of using an idler on an arm. So there's a belt and there's an idler that on a bearing that pushes against it and tensions it up. That turned out to be a simpler design. I believe there were talks of using a different driver board. I have a prototype of that. It's not yet populated, but that's we have that from the electronics supplier for the production run. I don't expect that to be ready, so we're gonna wait for that, and then we'll make that an upgrade, for a field installable upgrade for everyone. Heated bed zones working. The heater is working. The heater itself is heating, and it's producing heat. The problem has been getting the communications between the main processor and the heater controller to be stable at reasonable speeds. We can get it stable at about 2 kilobits per second, which is too slow. Or we can get it somewhat unstable at 20 kilobits, and it gets worse as you go faster. Upgrades, that's a great topic. There's a plan to make future improvements available as upgrades. Yes, that's been our intention from the very beginning. There will be electronics upgrades. There will be additional extruders. That's pretty much where we're looking. And when we get the new electronics working, we're going to be able to then do a lot of software upgrades to improve things in general, make things smarter. But that's down the road. We're not really focusing on this right now. I won't have to buy a 3D Monster 1 and a 3D Monster 2 a year from now. No, probably not. The frames, we're not touching again for a good long time. We will be doing upgrades, as I mentioned, extruders, electronics, software, those kinds of things. The whole point of it was to have a frame that will still be there years and years from now. The interesting there's one other thing. Some folks ask for bigger prints. We've had some notable successes in larger prints. Big hunk of plastic right here. There's a little cat. It's the normal cat, but it's instead of 2 inches, it's like 9. This house is probably about 10 by 10 by 4 or thereabouts. I don't know where. I made a little boo-boo. I have a picture of it being completely finished, and then, I left some G-code at the end of the print that instructed the printer to go to Z50 absolute coordinates, which is 50 millimeters, which was down here. So the printer dutifully took the hot extruder and rammed it into the model at full force. And basically the worst thing that happened is that it just kind of melted that tube. I hit the emergency switch fast enough. So this is about 1.5 pounds of plastic, maybe a little bit more, like 1.7, 1.6. It's pretty hefty. I mean, it's strong. The finish is fairly decent. I don't know if you can see, and it took about, I'm going to say about 22 hours or thereabouts. And I was running it fairly slowly. So probably a little bit faster can be had as well. This cat was at about 150 micron. This is the MakerBot cat, so you can see their logo. PLA, 150 microns, printing at about 80 or 90 millimeters per second. This probably took about 10 to 12 hours. Abby, can you give me a couple of those things? Just put them someplace. There's some spiral vases we ran out. So this one takes about an hour. That's one layer. And it's pretty decent finish. This one is about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit more. Again, spiral vase, sort of standard fare for 3D printers. Watertight in the single layer, which is kind of nice. So pretty good wall. Let's see. Give me that other spirally thingy. Yeah. Yeah, you can put that down. This is a similar spiral thingy. Pretty much is that was our first attempt at spiral slicing. It's kind of cool because normally what you get is on every layer, you print an entire layer and then you go up a layer and then you print another layer. This one is a fairly new setting for Slicer. And what it does, it just does a continuous print like that, nonstop. So I thought I'd give it a shot and it came out pretty good. Do we have anything else that's new hanging around? How about the little elephant? Yeah. You know what? Don't worry about it. I think that's probably enough for today, right, guys? And I'll ask Susie to. I really should have put that shirt away. This is kind of cool. This is a tiny, tiny little print, which was done at pretty high density. And the idea, this was a homeschool, a homework project for Danny, for one of his classes. So it was kind of cool to be able to just say, yeah, we can print it, and off it goes. Some elephants, Thingiverse elephants. The nice thing about this print, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is that it gets printed flat like this, but it actually has 3 parts to it. and then you just kind of break the legs and break the front paw and the head, and now they're kind of movable. It's kind of a clever little print. Takes a long, long time because there's a lot of this kind of detailed design right here. In fact, Slicer can't even slice this, right? Slicer gets completely confused, and it ends up with the hind legs in place, but the front legs and the head just missing altogether. And so this was sliced with Cura. There's another one just like that. Yeah, this one I don't like anyway, so. Yeah, I think, how about that airplane? The white airplane? No, that's green. That's the green airplane. Well, some of the airplanes are right here. Do you have the big white airplane someplace? All right, well, don't worry about it. So that's pretty much it, folks. That's most of what I have. Sure. Okay. No problem. I'll ask somebody to take some pictures of these and post them up to Flickr or something. That was Brett asking for high-res pictures of the elephants. No problem. Oh, there's one other thing. This isn't official yet, but it's gonna be probably in the next month or so. We had a new team, a new member join our team. Her name is Sandra Kahn, Kahn. Her email is sandra@3dmonster.com. She's doing two things for us. One is she's going to be running our service bureau, meaning that if somebody doesn't want to buy the printer completely but wants to just have us print something, we've had a lot of requests for folks for test prints, which we just have not had the opportunity to, and been turning people away. So she's going to be doing that. And she's also going to run our filament test program. So we'll have a dedicated person who is going to basically take the test prints and print, just for the purposes of characterizing the thermal parameters and reliability of the various filaments. At the moment, customer service is a little bit of a challenge for us, as a number of folks will attest to who've tried to send us emails and not always gotten a very rapid reply. I apologize for that to all and sundry folks, but at the moment, we're really focusing on getting production going, and everybody is really working in that area. As soon as that's going, then some of us are going to go off and work on the customer service and customer support side. So that's pretty much it.
Hey, Ben, I had a couple questions on multi-extruders.
Sure.
I've been working with these on my maker gear, and oozing is a big issue for the idle extruder.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys plan on handling that with 4 extruders?
So you have to do a very aggressive retract. There's really not much way around it.
But how much space do you have available in the little Titan for that?
So all of the multi-extruder prints we've tried, that is a problem, and the tricky part is to do the retract aggressively and quickly enough and high enough that you get the filament completely out of the hot zone. We've gone to as much as 10 or 15 millimeter retract. And then what you need is you need to get the filament back down again And that's a little tricky. So getting those settings right is non-trivial, especially given the multitude of different filaments and the fact that you can have different size nozzles. So each nozzle is going to have its own best setting. Like the smaller nozzles you don't need to be quite as aggressive. With the bigger ones, you do.
Okay, so you can do at least 15 millimeter retract?
10 to 12 millimeters retract.
Okay.
I think
my maker is like 17.
I can't say that I'm happy with the results as of yet.
Okay.
Pierre Philippe is asking, any inroads on figuring a cheaper way to ship the printer? So we've been working with DHL, and at the moment they are adamant that they do not recommend shipping via anything other than air. I'm not sure that I've bought that yet. We're also working with the Department of State here in New Jersey, and I don't mean the federal State Department. I mean New Jersey has a Department of State, and part of what they are chartered to do is help New Jersey companies export products overseas. And for reasons I don't quite understand, they consider Canada overseas, but I don't know which sea that is, so I don't know. But they've been very helpful in trying to connect us with folks that might be of help. By default, at the moment, we will probably end up working with DHL. The number one reason is that DHL is the only shipping company in the U.S. that does not hand off shipments to local delivery. So when we're shipping with DHL, they're the only ones who are going to touch the package, and therefore they're the only ones who are responsible. I've had some significant amounts of trouble with that issue before, and the other thing they're promising, although we'll see if they can deliver, the other thing they're promising is that if we ship with them, then there will be a lot less trouble at the border with customs. And so they're the only ones who are sort of promising to hold our hand and to try to smooth the way. If they are as good at it as they claim they are, then that's going to be to our significant advantage and to your advantage for all of our customers overseas, outside the U.S., I should say. I have asked them several times to sharpen the pencil a little bit and get the costs down. So far, I haven't seen significant improvements, but they keep promising to do better. We'll see what happens. Jonathan had another question. Since I bought hours from a third party, please make sure I get the email instead of it going straight to them. Can I ask you a favor, Jonathan? Can you please email me your address just so that I make sure that that gets in the right mailing list? Because I'm pretty sure I have it because we've communicated directly multiple times, but I just want to be double, triple sure that we don't drop something on the floor here. Is that all right? Okay, thanks. At this point, I don't feel that you will be able to meet our deadlines we have made anticipating having a working printer. Please call us. Okay, I'll try to what time would you like to chat?
Tomorrow, anytime tomorrow would be great. If you could return my phone call or Mr. Jeff Moss's would be great.
Okay. What's a good time?
I would say in the afternoon around 2 o'clock.
Okay,
I'm on Central Time.
okay. So 2, that's 3 my time. Okay. Okay. All right, folks, it seems like we've got all the questions answered, so unless there's any others, I'd like to wish you all a good night. And thank you for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.